Hey guys, welcome to Franklin Woodworks. A few months ago, I did a quick video of my shop-built air cleaner that uses a 20-inch box fan. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how I made it. My buddy Richard McIntosh, the sawdust maker, wanted one for his shop, so we decided to build it together so you can see just how simple it is to make. The first thing you need to do is take all of the unimportant stuff off of the box fan you'll be using. This means the grill and any handles that may stick out. This way you can get an accurate exterior dimension of the fan, which will have an impact on the dimensions of the air cleaner. Since the box fan is 20 by 20, we're also going to use 20 by 20 filters. So our interior dimension for the box will be just a little over 20 inches to give us some wiggle room for the fan. The filters are an inch thick, and this fan is a little less than 4 inches thick. With spacers between the filters and the fan, I figure we need an exterior dimension for our box of 14 inches deep, 21.5 inches tall, and 21.5 inches wide. We'll cut 4 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood to these dimensions. Now, because 3/4 inch plywood is usually just a little less than 3/4 inches thick, this will give us that extra wiggle room I mentioned earlier. Now we can cut the 1-inch strips that will act as spacers between the filters and will hold everything in place inside the box. Each side of the box will get 6 strips for a total of 24. To cut these strips to the proper length, I'll cut 12 of them to 19.25 inches, 6 of them to 18.5 inches, and 6 to 20 inches. As you'll see in a minute, I made a mistake on my lengths and had to fix it by adding another step to the process. But you should do what I say, not do what I do. To put the box together, we use simple butt joints, glued and tacked into place with 18 gauge nails. A square clamped to the sides makes this pretty easy. We only attach 3 of the sides since the 4th side will be the door that gives you access to change the filters. Next, we start tacking in the 1-inch strips. I put a spacer strip to make things fast. I made the spacer strip just a hair over 1 inch wide, probably 1 3/32 of an inch, so the filters will slide in and out without binding. Starting from the left edge of the box, we attached 4 strips, then moved to the right edge of the box and attached the remaining 2. This gives us space for the box fan to slide into somewhere in the middle. Here's where I made the mistake I told you about earlier. Instead of 6 20-inch strips, 6 18.5 inch strips, and 12 19.25 strips, I cut all of them to 19.25. This made it impossible to tack the last 6 strips, the ones that go in the side with the door, into place. Because these divider strips make the 3-sided box rigid, and because I messed up the dimensions of the strips, I had to use dowels to make sure everything was strong enough to make the box rigid. But if you follow the directions I gave you earlier, you won't have this problem and everything will go together nice. We used a piano hinge to attach the door. I feel this is important because a piano hinge will support the weight of the door while you change the filters. And because a piano hinge covers almost the entire width of the box, it gives it a nice solid feel. We also used a magnetic cabinet door latch to keep the door closed. On this particular fan, it had one design feature that caused a little trouble. The switch was in the middle of the fan instead of on top like the one I used for my air cleaner. So the switch had to be removed, and additional wire had to be spliced onto the switch so it could be mounted on the exterior of the box. No big deal, but just an added step that was unexpected. Once the switch extension was in place and tested, a hole was drilled in the side so the switch could be operated from the outside of the box. And because of the design of this switch and the length of the post, a recess was cut on the inside of the box to accommodate the switch. And here you can see that a small piece of wood was screwed in to hold the switch into place. Another hole was drilled for the power cord, and in this case it was drilled on the top of the box because it will be mounted on the ceiling of the shop. One thing I need to mention about the filters is that you need to measure them. Richard and I both discovered that 20-inch filters are not really 20 inches, but around 19.5. That means there will be a lot of slop in the fit, and you may need to shim the slots so the filters fit nice and snug. Richard chose to turn his own knob for the cabinet door, and he's doing that out of a nice piece of Paduke. And here Richard is using a technique I showed him that I learned from a guitar builder. He's wet sanding the knob with Danish oil for a beautiful glassy finish. Once the knob is installed, this thing is ready to hang and save Richard's lungs. Constructive comments are always welcome, and it's a minimum requirement that you give the video a thumbs up. And if you really want to be with the cool kids, you'll subscribe to this channel. I'm going to leave a link in the description below to Richard's channel, The Sawdust Maker, so you can check out some of the great projects Richard has filmed for your enjoyment. Richard also made some outstanding plans for this project, and I'll leave a link to that also. Well, thanks for watching, and there you go.